rode from town to town, and they called them circuit riders.
Yeah.
The next home is the Buckingham Hall house. It's shown here as it was in the 1800s, but some of its earliest construction dates back to 1600. They have an open hearth kitchen in the back, and the ladies back there will tell you more about the household.
Yeah. So good.
You're going the wrong way or I'd race you. That's the man responsible for all the beautiful gardens here.
Oh, yeah.
So we have the Children's Museum here on the corner. Easy place to get into with small children, hard place to get out of with small children.
Yeah.
And then up the street we have the planetarium. They do several shows a day.
Yeah.
This building on my left, there's a lot of artifacts on the first floor. There's some beautiful scrimshaw that the sailors made out of whale bone.
Yeah.
And then up on the second floor is a little movie theater.
Yeah.
There's several movies in there. They're only about 10 minutes long each. But there's a movie in there called Hunting Leviathan.
Yeah.
That will show you a real whale hunt and the workings of the deck of the Charles Morgan. It was filmed on the Charles Morgan back in 1905, shortly before it was retired.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out very well for the whale, but it does give you a good idea of what the sailors' life was like aboard the Morgan.
Yeah.
So we have the Wendell building here, houses the figureheads. And next door to that is Neptune's Orchestra, which is all about the music that the sailors took to the sea.
Yeah.
At the top of the circle, we have the Greenmanville Church.
Yeah.
The Greenman family had one of the shipyards here in the 1800s, and they still do a lot of weddings out of this church. Behind the church is, in the blue building, is treasures from the collections. And then we have, over here in the boat lab, there's a lot of hands-on exhibits that, you know, it's fun for people to do.
Yeah.
I see just as many adults over there as I do children playing in the water over there.
Actually, yeah.
Over here we have the Benjamin F. Packard ship's cabin, and then behind that building is another small boat exhibit called Your Grandfather's Boat. And there's a boat that once belonged to FDR in there.
Yeah.
Now there's a story with the anchor on Anchor Circle. During the war in 1812, there was a British warship that anchored in Newport Harbor, Rhode Island. The locals didn't like it very much. They thought that it had to be up to no good. So they got together and they attacked the British warship.
Yeah.
The captain of the British warship was so scared that he just cut his anchor and ran out of the harbor. They found the anchor in modern times, and when they first found it, they didn't know where it could have come from. Until they researched the history of the harbor and figured out that it had to have come from that British warship during the War of 1812. So all these benches over here, this is our little outdoor theater. They perform several plays. They perform 3 times a day A Tale of a Whaler. A lot of times they will invite people up on stage with them, so if you want to start your acting career, you can maybe start it right here. Come on, Joe, you can walk faster. Joe is a philosopher.
Oh.
A lot of times people ask him if he's okay because he walks slow. And that's actually how we got him from the Amish farmer that owned him. It was taking him too long to plow his fields, so he decided to sell Joe. And the man was like in his 80s. So he's always been this way. Makes him good for touring. We have the Dutton over here. She's a fishing schooner from Boston. On my left, we have the Spatter Tavern, named after the tavern in Moby Dick. And then we have the Old Mystic Bank. The bank was made out of stone. They weren't so much afraid of theft as they were of fire. And then we have the cooperage. The cooperage is where they made barrels. Everything that went on board ship had to be stored in a barrel. Now you see this small white boat right here. That is what they would have actually harpooned a whale from. Then they would have hung on for dear life for what they called the Nantucket sleigh ride. Anyone who was still left in that boat at the end of the Nantucket sleigh ride had the chore of rowing the boat and the whale back to the Charles Morgan. Now they're riding some old-fashioned bicycles up there. See the high wheelers? Maybe he's going to ride it?
Yeah.
There we go.
How can they use this? It's so fun.
So we just passed the old Mystic Press, master manufacturer, nautical instruments, our little fire station. And then we have our shipsmith. The shipsmith made everything metal that went on board ship. And for the restoration of the Morgan, he's been making a lot of nails and spikes and things.
Yeah.
But he made things like knives and harpoons as well.
Yeah.
This boat here is the Joseph Conrad. She's an Ironsides vessel, and she is the dormitory for the summer sailing camp program that we have here at the museum. She was always a teaching vessel. She was built to 3/4 size scale for 3/4 size sailors, which would be like high school age boys training to be merchant marines.
Yeah.
We have the Plymouth Cordage building there. It is only a portion of its original length. Cordage buildings could be as much as a mile long, and that's where they made rope. We have the Mallory Sail and Rigging Company there. And then up the street we have the Schooner Australia, and next door to that is the small boat rental spot.
Yeah.
We have the John Gardner Boat Shop there, and then across the street we have the Mystic River Scale Model Building. The Scale Model Building will show you what the river looked like in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Mystic was famous for building sailing ships.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the street is the old Block Island life-saving station, and they use that catwalk on the roof to look out for shipwrecks off the coast of Block Island. So if you had come here in the 1800s, you wouldn't have found this little village here. The buildings that are here now were moved here to preserve them. There were 2 shipyards here in the 1800s. One belonged to the Mallory family, the other one belonged to the Greenmans. But toward the end of the 1800s, building sailing ships had started to fail. The bicycles are coming right out over here.
Yeah.
The businesses started to fail, so by the beginning of the 1900s, some merchants got together in town, bought the property with the idea of turning it into a living museum.
Yeah.
They wanted to preserve the New England coastal sailing town. They saw it disappearing, and they wanted to preserve it. So the buildings are original, but they were moved here to create this village.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah.